Naveen Prabhu, we're good to go. You're on mute, Naveen.
Sorry, please forgive me. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Prabhupada. We'd like to welcome everyone today for our regular weekday program. And we are continuing with our series on the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Today, we will be covering Srila Jiva Goswami, a very special and intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And our guest speaker today will be Her Grace Gita Devi Dasi. So we'll just go through a quick schedule before we start the class. So the class will begin in a few minutes and we will have a question and answer right at the end. And we will also have some announcements thereafter. So before I hand it over to Gita Mataji, I would just do a brief introduction. So Her Grace Gita Devi Dasi Mataji has been part of ISKCON Atlanta for a very long time. She is involved in a lot of preaching initiatives here in Atlanta, Namahatas, Bhakti Vrikshas, Harinams, home programs, and temple programs as well. She has held a position on the committee at ISKCON Atlanta as well. And she has been initiated by His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. She has taken first and second initiation from Maharaj, and Mataji is regarded as a very senior and exalted member of our community. She plays different roles as a mentor, as a guide, as a preacher, and a very motherly figure who we all look up to. And we are very honored to have her speaking on our forum regularly. And we are very, very honored to have her today speaking on a very, very special topic, Srila Jiva Goswami. So without any further ado, I will hand it to Mataji. Mataji, if you are ready, you may please continue.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Urminitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So first of all, thank you for having this series of 6 Goswamis. Yeah, very, very important part of our movement. And what I will speak about Srila Jiva Goswami today is what I have heard in different lectures about him from Srila Prabhupada and other senior Vaishnavas. So Srila Prabhupada, he said that Srila Jiva Goswami is one of the very important acharyas of our sampradaya. And he said he was the greatest philosopher that ever lived. Now, last week, we heard from Shambhi Hari Prabhu about Srila Rupa Goswami, and he did mention about Sri Vallabha, who was the father of Srila Jiva Goswami. And of course, his uncles were Srila Sanatan Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami. And we also heard last Wednesday that Srila Jiva Goswami is actually Vilasa Manjari, very, very dear to Srimati Radharani. While I was preparing for this lecture, a thought came to my mind that what is the purpose of hearing about the 6 Goswamis? Why should we hear about these 6 Goswamis? Srila Prabhupada says that when we glorify these great Vaishnavas, especially the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, we start getting purified. And the more we absorb ourselves in their pastimes, the more we progress spiritually. Of course, we don't know much about Srila Jiva Goswami as much as we know about Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatan Goswami. But He is very important to our parampara. And Srila Prabhupada calls him the Siddhanta Acharya. And his Srila Prabhupada's mission was to spread the glories of Srila Jiva Goswami in the whole world. Now, not many, biography details are available about Srila Jiva Goswami, but we can get a glimpse from Srila Narahari Chakravarti's Bhakti Ratnakar and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur's Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. And of course, from Srila Prabhupada's lectures and lectures from Sriniya Vaishnavas. So, Srila Jiva Goswami, he appeared in 1511. And just 1 year before that, in 1510, specifically on January 15th, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and he went on his tour to South India for 2 years. And in 1514, when he goes to Vrindavan, but he takes a detour and he meets Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatan Goswami as well as Sri Vallabha in Ramakeli. And that is where Srila Jiva Goswami had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time and the only time. And it is said at that time, Srila Jiva Goswami, he was about 2 to 3 years old. But elsewhere, it is said that, Srila Sanatan Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, and Sri Vallabha, they all three went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu holding Srila Jiva Goswami in their arms, but they were disguised. And elsewhere, it is heard that they all were talking to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whereas Srila Jiva Goswami was hearing them from far. But the important point to understand from this pastime is that he was able to have darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was only 3. Now his father, he again met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu along with Srila Rupa Goswami in Prayag. But on the way back home, his father left the body. Now this was actually the turning point in Srila Jiva Goswami's life. He was so young when his father left the body. And it is said that his mother was a very nice devotee. She told him stories from the scriptures. And so basically, Srila Jiva Goswami grew up in a Krishna conscious environment. And when he was young, he had Krishna Balram deities. And he was very, very attached to those deities. He would play with them. He would sleep with them, holding them really, really tight. And it so happened that one night, he was loudly chanting, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when he was calling out to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he started feeling ecstatic. He had all those symptoms. The tears were flowing down and he was like shivering and he couldn't sleep. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu put him to sleep for a little while. And there's a reason behind that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in his dream when he fell asleep. He came in his dream and, he was raising his arms and he was doing kirtan and chanting and dancing. And then he saw Srila Jiva Goswami in his dream. He saw that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, they were doing that kirtan. And while doing that, they were changing themselves into Krishna Balram. And then again he saw they changed back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. And then he understood, oh, there is no difference between Krishna Balram or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. And in that dream, Lord Chaitanya told Srila Jiva Goswami that I am handing you over to Lord Nityananda. I'm putting you in his care. So beautiful. And this was to prepare Srila Jiva Goswami that in future he is going to he's going to have darshan of Lord Nityananda and he will be under his guidance. What a fortunate position. What a beautiful position. And that too came in his dream. And also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed him there is no difference. The Krishna Balram that you're holding so tight to your heart is the same me, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. Now, after this dream, Srila Jiva Goswami was more ecstatic and he started feeling separation from the Lord. And at the age of 19, he wanted to go to Vrindavan because he wanted to, be with his uncles, Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatan Goswami, and, from Ramakeli to Navodvip. And that is where he had darshan of Lord Nityananda. He went to Srivasangan. I'm sure all of you who have been to Mayapur have actually probably, I hope you've been to Srivas Angan. It is such a beautiful and peaceful place. You can just sit there and just chant and feel the atmosphere, the surcharged Krishna conscious atmosphere there. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to dance and chant in Srivas Angan. And when he went to Srivas Angan, he saw Lord Nityananda, immediately offered his obeisances, and he remembered his dream. Oh, yes, this is that same personality. He remembered that, what happens with our dreams. In the morning, we wake up and the dream is gone. We don't even remember anything. We may remember a little bit here or there, but mostly we forget. And but he remembered and he immediately offered his obeisances. And what did Lord Nityananda Prabhu do? He introduced him to all the Vaishnavas that were present over there. Then he took him to Yogapeeth, and he had the darshan of Sachi Mata. And Sachi Mata, she cooked for Srila Jiva Goswami and Lord Nityananda, and he was so happy. Lord Nityananda, he made sure that he got the blessings of all the Vaishnavas present there. It's a very nice lesson we can learn from this, that blessings are very important, especially if we want to progress spiritually. Blessings are very, very important. So to get the blessings, we need to associate with advanced devotees. We should associate more often, take whatever opportunity we get to associate with advanced devotees. We must never let it go. And, learn from them, follow their instructions, take guidance from them and serve them. But while we are doing all this, during the association with advanced devotees, we have to be very, very, very careful of Vaishnava Aparadh. Because if we commit any Vaishnava Aparadh even in our mind, it can destroy our spiritual life. It could be through our, Vaishnava Aparadh by our mind, our body, or our words. It could be any. Like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, that the Vaishnava Aparadh is like a mad elephant destroying the beautiful rose garden. That means Vaishnava Aparadh can destroy our spiritual life. It can crush it completely. So we have to be very vigilant, need to be careful. Whenever we associate with devotees, we have to be very careful how we behave, how, what do we say, how do we act. So you have to be very, very careful. We don't want any Vaishnava Aparadh at all. Sometimes, of course, unintentionally it does happen, but we have to be always very careful. So Srila Jiva Goswami, he asked Lord Nityananda if he can go to Jagannath Puri to have darshan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And what does Lord say? Lord tells him, no, you go to Kashi and you study from Madhusudana Vachaspati. He is a disciple of Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So first you do that, then you go to Vrindavan and you can serve your uncles over there, the two uncles. What do we learn from this? What would we have done if we were in that situation? We would have argued, no. I must have darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is more important. I need to see. Just like when the spiritual master, comes to a city or whatever. No, 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 I have to have darshan of the spiritual master. That is very important, right? What is important is the instructions that we get. More than the darshan is the instruction. So Srila Jiva Goswami understood that my having darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not as important as following the instructions of Lord Nityananda, under whose guidance I am, right? So it is very important to understand that when we associate with advanced devotees, if they give us some instructions, we should take it to our heart and follow their guidance. You have to be open to accepting instructions. Sometimes the mind, because of pride, may think, oh, why should I take instructions from so and so devotee? Oh, I don't think so. I am quite well advanced. I don't need any guidance. Now we have to be open, because just like I personally believe that a devotee, I'm not talking about pure devotees or acharyas or spiritual masters or very advanced devotees. I'm talking about neophytes like myself. It is not possible to have all the knowledge. Not possible. In fact, even after so many years of being in Krishna consciousness, every time I hear a lecture, I learn something new, right? If a person is able to get all the knowledge, then that person is a Mahabhagavat. So we have to be open to accepting instructions, open to hearing from other devotees also. So now Srila Jiva Goswami, he completely surrenders to Lord Nityananda and he goes to Prayag. He gets all the knowledge, he equips himself, and he becomes famous as a great scholar. And then after a year, he goes to Vrindavan to join his two uncles. And by now, he is 20 years old. And it is said that he lived in Vrindavan for 65 years, which means he was on this planet for 85 years. Now, what did both the uncles do? Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatan Goswami. They took Srila Jiva Goswami to introduce to the other devotees. Why? To meet the other Vaishnavas and take their blessings. This is the second time we hear in Srila Jiva Goswami's life that, he was taken to other Vaishnavas to take blessings. So our consciousness should be that, yes, I want to associate with advanced devotees. I want to learn from them. I want guidance from them. But at the same time, of course, serve them also, but at the same time, not demand blessings. Oh, I did this for you. Now, you better give me some blessing. Right? Like in India, you see a sadhu, the first thing the mother will say, oh, please bless my child, to pass the exam or get a good wife or this or that, No, blessings have to be earned. They are not given free. They have to be earned. Just like it is said, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. We have to earn to get that Bhakti Lata Bij. And after that, we have to earn to get the blessings of Guru and Krishna. And how can they give us blessings? Our earning will be that we follow their instructions. So now Srila Jiva Goswami, he becomes everyone's favorite. He's a great scholar. He's learned so much in Prayag. And now he is like very, very popular. But at the same time, very humble. He's very humble. He did not become proud, of what he had acquired. He was, serving his uncles. He was connected with them. He was enthusiastic in doing kirtan. And he was, even though he was so learned, he was still very helpful. He was, it is said that he was an expert in serving Vaishnavas. If only we can take this one thing from Srila Jiva Goswami's life, to serve the Vaishnavas expertly. What does that mean? That means we serve and please the other Vaishnavas according to what they like, not what I like or how I like it, right? If one of you invite me for dinner and you want to please me. Or let me turn it around. If I invite one of you to my house for dinner and I want to please you, I want to serve you. So what should I cook? Something that you like or something that I like? Obviously, something that you like. If I want to please you, I have to do something that you like. So similarly, this Srila Jiva Goswami, he was an expert in serving Vaishnavas. He knew how to please the other Vaishnavas. And when the Vaishnavas are pleased, the spiritual master is pleased. And when spiritual master is pleased, automatically Krishna is pleased. It's a very simple formula. There is no ambiguity in it. There is no confusion in it. It is not difficult to understand. It's very, very simple. So Srila Jiva Goswami, in spite of being such a great scholar, he was very humble. Now, someone may say, okay, what do you mean by humble? Is it like, oh, Hare Krishna, like that? No, that's not humility. Srila Prabhupada gives a definition of humility. He says, humility means one should not be anxious to get the satisfaction of being honored by others. Once again, Prabhupada says humility means one should not be anxious to get the satisfaction of being honored by others. Which means as soon as we enter the temple room, who all are there? Are they wishing me Hare Krishna? Are they smiling at me? Are they offering me respect? No. We are not anxious to, get the satisfaction of being honored by others. Who are we? I'm talking about myself. Nobody. So if, there is a phrase that says, treat others the way you want to be treated, right? So if we give respect to others without expecting it in return, the others will definitely respect us. So here Srila Jiva Goswami, he was very humble, and all these wonderful qualities of him made him famous and favorite of everyone. Now, Srila Jiva Goswami goes to Srila Sanatana Goswami and begs for initiation. And what does he do? He sends him to Srila Rupa Goswami. And Srila Rupa Goswami doesn't say, oh yes, come on, sit down in the fire sacrifice, I'll give you initiation. No, he thinks about it, and he thinks that Jiva Goswami needs some training. Even though he's a great scholar, he's a great philosopher, he has learned, everything that is required, right? Academically or whatever. He knows it all, but still training is important. So Srila Rupa Goswami gives him menial service. Now one may say, oh, I am a PhD, or have an MBA, or I have this degree or that degree, and you're asking me to wash dishes in the temple room, temple kitchen? No. Give me some better seva. Give me something that is worth my status, like I have that degree. No. Srila Jiva Goswami was asked to do menial service, and he did it with all his heart and full of happiness. He did not mind that at all. And he would make those palm leaves, clean them up, dry them up, and all, on which these his uncles were writing their books. He used to, and it's a very tedious job. Now, of course, there are laptops and all. You just quickly type in, and your book is ready. But in those days, they had to write on palm leaves. So he would, do that menial service for his uncles. And Srila Rupa Goswami was very happy with his service. He was like, oh, you did a really good job. He even helped his uncles to proofread their books. We all know how many books they have written, right? I just remembered last week, Shambhari Prabhu talked about, that, what was his name? About that person who was, who thought himself to be a great scholar, and he wanted to, prove that there is no one better than him. So he went, to Srila Rupa Goswami and, wanted to, kind of defeat him, right? Defeat him. But he didn't want, he said, okay, he signed that paper and said, okay, I'm defeated, why waste time? But Srila Jiva Goswami did not like that. He said, oh, he did that to my spiritual master? No, 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 no. So he tried to argue with him and teach him a lesson. He spent 7 days to defeat that scholar. Right now, I'm unable to remember his name. What was his name? Maybe after a while, I will remember his name. But the point is that Srila Jiva Goswami, he was not at all, upset about doing menial service at all. And just by doing that menial service, he was able to please his spiritual master. See? So here we understand that menial service is not really menial, it is just service. Service in, to serve the devotees, Vaishnavas, spiritual master, advanced devotees, acharyas in the parampara, or Lord Krishna. It doesn't matter. Service is service. So here, Srila Jiva Goswami, in fact, Srila Prabhupada's god brother, Adi Keshav Prabhu, he in his book mentions that Srila Jiva Goswami, he was one time fanning Srila Rupa Goswami with the fan, and at that time, Srila Vallabhacharya came there. Now, this is that Sri Vallabhacharya from Pushti Marg Sampradaya. So, excuse me, so Srila Rupa Goswami, he welcomed him respectfully, and he told Sri Vallabhacharya that, I have composed this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and do you mind hearing it, and then maybe you can let me know if any corrections are to be made, and Sri Vallabhacharya said, sure, and Srila Rupa Goswami started reading it. So when Srila Rupa Goswami was reading it, he was reading about one place where he said that mukti is like a witch. And Sri Vallabhacharya stopped him at that time and he said, don't you think you're being harsh? You're calling mukti as a witch? Maybe you can use another word, So immediately Srila Rupa Goswami said, yeah, you're correct, I agree. But Srila Jiva Goswami did not like that. You corrected my spiritual master? How come, right? So he went up to Sri Vallabhacharya and he said, after Sri Vallabhacharya finished his bath and all, he said, actually, you know what? Very humbly, he told him that my guru is actually talking about the desire for mukti as a witch. He's not saying mukti as a witch, but a desire for mukti as a witch. So Sri Vallabhacharya immediately accepted that. He said, oh yeah, you're right. Yes, it's possible. He accepted the correction and he said, you're right. And he went back to Rupa Goswami. So Srila Vallabhacharya told Srila Rupa Goswami, you have such a wonderful disciple. He's amazing. I was surprised. He gave me this, he told me this correction and it is right. But Srila Rupa Goswami was not happy with this. He was not happy at all. In fact, he was upset with Srila Jiva Goswami that why did you correct Sri Vallabhacharya? He's so respectable. I think you become proud. Imagine if the spiritual master tells you, you have become proud. You would want the earth to open and go inside and, bury yourself. Oh, I have become proud. This is what the spiritual master told him. And he said, because you become proud, Vrindavan is not a place for you. Leave. Go away from Vrindavan. There's a saying, pride comes before the fall, right? You got to be very careful. And that is why devotee association helps us, because they remind us whenever we fall off the wagon, they remind us and put us back on Srila Prabhupada's wagon. Srila Prabhupada would say that I have this beautiful Krishna conscious train and it's free. There's no ticket for it. You just need to hop on it. Once you hop on it, I can take you back to Godhead. So here, Jiva Goswami was asked to leave Vrindavan. And what did he do? He did not say, oh, I don't think my spiritual master is doing the right thing. He's being too harsh with me. I am not proud at all. The fact when we say I'm not proud, that means I am proud. Or if we say I am not in Maya, definitely we are in Maya. Definitely, if we think that way. Imagine Srila Prabhupada used to pray every day to Lord Krishna, please save me from Maya. Srila Prabhupada is praying. So who are we? Right? So here, Jiva Goswami, he made a crocodile hole. And he was living in that hole. And every 3 days, he would take a little atta, flour, mix it with Yamuna water, and then that is what he would eat. Every 3 days. What austerity, right? And that is the time when he composed the Shat Sandarbha at that time. Now, I'm not sure if that is true, but this is what is I have heard in the lectures. And he used every opportunity to serve Lord Krishna. And the villagers, they went to Srila Sanatan Goswami and informed him about Srila Jiva Goswami, how he was living in a crocodile hole. He was eating only flour with Yamuna water every 3 days. And, so when Sri Sanatan Goswami heard this, he immediately went to Srila Rupa Goswami and he told him, have you forgotten Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions? Like, Rupa Goswami, I forgot Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions? He said, yes. What did he say? He said, Namaruchi, Vaishnava Seva, Jiva Daya. Right? 3 things. So where is Jiva Daya? Are you following that? That means you're not being compassionate to Srila Jiva Goswami. Where is Jiva Daya? Immediately, Srila Rupa Goswami went and brought Srila Jiva Goswami back to Vrindavan. Now, what do we learn from this? It's nice to hear the pastimes. It's nice to hear, the details when they are born. What did they do? What are the activities? But what do we learn from all this? Who is an ideal guru and who is an ideal disciple? The disciple wanted to protect his guru's position, and the guru took the responsibility of correcting his disciple when necessary. Long time ago, I had heard that when the spiritual master chastises you, that's a blessing. Right? That's a blessing. And that's a wake-up call for us. Oh, yes, I need to improve. And if the spiritual master doesn't say anything, then it's very high time we think about it. What wrong am I doing? Why is it that maybe my spiritual master is not pleased with me? But if he chastises, that means that is a blessing. So Srila Rupa Goswami brought him back to Vrindavan. Then one day, Srila Rupa Goswami, he had a dream in which Radha Govindji, they changed into Radha Damodar. And Radha Damodar told Srila Rupa Goswami in the dream, I want to be served by Srila Jiva Goswami. So Rupa Goswami personally carved the deities, and in the month of Kartik, he gave it to Srila Jiva Goswami and, told him to worship these deities. And these deities would talk to Srila Jiva Goswami. The deities would play flute for him. Just the thought, Krishna playing flute for you. He had an amazing relationship with his deities. He was so attached to them. Oh yes, I remember the name of that person who wanted to defeat everyone. His name was Rupa Narayan. He was a scholar and he wanted to challenge everyone. And, but of course, Srila Rupa Goswami, he signed and said, oh, I am defeated, right? I don't want to waste time. But Jiva Goswami, he spent 7 days to defeat him. And Rupa Goswami was not happy. Why? Because he said, you wasted 7 days. You should have controlled your tongue. What an important lesson, that we should not talk unnecessarily, like, even in Nectar of Instruction, it says we should not do prajalpa. The tongue is to be vibrated for Krishna Katha. So we should not argue for the sake of it or argue to prove I am better than you. So I am going to continue to talk and talk and talk till you are defeated and you say, you are great. No. If we don't control our speech, it is said that Sukriti gets drained. And we don't want that, right? So, of course, it's a duty of the disciple also to that if the guru or acharya agrees to be defeated, the disciple should see that the spiritual master does not get defeated. But this is, of course, Srila Jiva Goswami, right? We cannot do that. We are not at that position. We are not at that level. But Srila Jiva Goswami was. So these are the instructions we get from the life of Srila Jiva Goswami, his behavior, right? And later on, we have heard that he established the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan, and his samadhi is also in that temple, in that same temple. Of course, Srila Jiva Goswami was a brahmachari, so he had no sons, and he didn't have any grihastha devotees. He did not have any children. So his grihastha devotees, they started managing this Radha Damodar temple. They were entrusted with the management, and I believe their descendants are still continuing to manage that temple. Such a pure devotee, Srila Jiva Goswami. He was not only a pure devotee, he was a great speaker, he was a writer, he was a manager, he was a worshipper, he was a scholar, he was a perfect disciple. I believe he wrote 25 books and almost 500,000 verses all by himself, right? I heard from Radha Raman Prabhu, we all know, he gives beautiful lectures. He had come to Atlanta also. And he had said that Srila Jiva Goswami's Sandarbha, one Sandarbha has 6 parts, and he took the third part out of it, which had 105 sections, and he took the 105th section, and he studied only that for years to get a PhD. Imagine how much Srila Jiva Goswami has written. He also wrote the grammar Vyakaran, and also we will see that all his teachings, all his books, they are only teaching Krishna consciousness. That was the whole purpose, right? Just to give Krishna consciousness to us, just like Srila Prabhupada. What has he done? He has been so compassionate to us. He has given the whole process in a capsule, such a simple process. Just chant, follow regulative principles, read my books, serve the deities, associate with devotees, preach, and you will go back to Godhead. Simple as that, right? It's not difficult at all. So Srila Prabhupada has taken great efforts. When we read his Leelamrita, we can see how much struggle he had to go through just to give us ISKCON. Many times, I talk about this, that we should just sometimes sit and meditate. What would I be doing if Srila Prabhupada did not come to the US? What would we be doing if Srila Prabhupada's books were not there? Just that thought is devastating. Very, very important to read his books for 2 hours at least every day. Srila Prabhupada said, I myself read my own books because these are the words of Lord Krishna. And Srila Jiva Goswami, coming in that parampara, strict disciplic succession, he is a wonderful example for us to follow. Not imitate, but to follow. And Srila Jiva Goswami was very fortunate to inherit 3 things from his uncles. Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Sanatana Goswami, his uncles. What did he inherit? Devotion, knowledge, and renunciation. 3 things. And everyone knew that Srila Jiva Goswami only talked about Krishna Katha. And he knew right from his young age, when he was little, that when he grows up, he is going to be a renunciate. And we can see that all these qualities are there in Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was also a great visionary like Srila Jiva Goswami. We can see those same, Srila Prabhupada was so humble, a scholar. That's why he got the title Bhakti Vedanta, right? A great scholar and very well known, you know. And main point is a direct representative of Lord Krishna. He was sent to this material world to reclaim fallen souls like us, conditioned souls like us. Sometimes we see that, we have been chanting for many years. We've been, following Krishna consciousness for many years, but we are on a plateau. In the beginning, it was like going up straight, very enthusiastic. Oh, I'm going to chant around very nicely, and I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. And then gradually, most of us reach a plateau. We just stay on that. That is not helpful at all. We need to continue to grow. Just like if my grandson now, he goes in the 6th grade, he just finished his 5th grade, and he comes home and he says, oh, I love my teacher. My teacher is just awesome. Dad, can I please stay in the 5th grade? I would like to, continue in the 5th grade again. Will the dad say yes? No. The dad will say, no, you finished your 5th grade. You need to advance to 6th grade. That progress has to be there. When we go to work, we want progress. We want we want increment in our salaries. We want, promotions. We want to go ahead, move forward. When we want advancement in all other aspects of life, then why not in Krishna consciousness? It would be nice if we can sit down and think about what we do during the day, right? Jot it down in a diary and you'll be surprised. We'll find so many things that we do are unnecessary. And that time can be spent in Krishna conscious activities, like, trying. It is not that everything will fall in our laps just like that. We have to work for it. Like if we want to associate with devotees, we have to make that effort to go and meet them, to serve them. It's not that they are going to come knock at your door and say, oh, here I am, serve me. No, we have to find those opportunities. Just like Srila Jiva Goswami, he did menial service even though he was the greatest scholar. Prabhupada says the greatest philosopher that ever lived. And still he did not mind doing those menial services also. Why? Because his spiritual master gave him that instruction. Every morning after Mangalarti, we recite the 10 offenses against the holy name. Actually, there are 11 offenses, the 11th one being inattentive while chanting, which is the most important of the offenses. But the third offense of those out of those 10 is to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Very, very dangerous. Guru Aprad is more dangerous than Vaishnava Aprad. I have to be very careful. So every time we get instructions from our spiritual master, make sure to write it down. When we write it down, because in Kali Yuga, our memory is not that good. I'm talking about myself. I mean, if within few minutes, I usually forget, what I had heard or whatever. So how to remember those instructions? So best thing is to write it down and then meditate on fulfilling those instructions. Okay, he said, do this and this. I have done this, and put a check mark so that we have the satisfaction of not disobeying the instructions of the spiritual master. Very, very important. So Srila Jiva Goswami is one of those very important Goswamis out of those 6 who come in our disciplic succession. And today talking about Srila Jiva Goswami, let us all think about or meditate on Srila Jiva Goswami and pray to him. Pray to him fervently. Pray to him sincerely that please help me on my spiritual path. Please bless me so that I can progress, and not just my progress, but I also spread Krishna consciousness to whomsoever I meet. There are so many opportunities available where we can give this knowledge to others. And Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter, he tells us that no one is more dear to me than one who spreads my glories. So that is what pleases Guru and Krishna. So let us all pray to Srila Jiva Goswami to please help us to progress in our spiritual lives, and at the same time also spread Srila Prabhupada's mission to as many as possible. So this is all I can speak on Srila Jiva Goswami. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for such a wonderful class. You covered so many wonderful topics in regards to Srila Jiva Goswami that I think we can all take away something. You covered, like, just for example, humility, aparad, guru-disciple relationship, and it's just so incredible to see that our acharyas, how much bhakti and devotion they had in their hearts, and true humility, and how they practice so wonderfully the art of Krishna consciousness. And I think we can all learn so much from Srila Jiva Goswami. So thank you so much for speaking on such a wonderful topic today. We do appreciate it. I just want to see if there are any questions. If there are, yes, I see 2 hands raised. Shambi Hari Prabhu is there as well. Shambi Hari Prabhu, if you're ready, you can go ahead and ask the question, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Gita Mataji, Dandavas Pranam. Please accept my most humble obeisances. Such a wonderful class. So much we learned from it. Mataji, I have a simple question that many devotees, I know Jiva Goswami was very fortunate that he had direct association and could serve his spiritual master in such an intimate way and get instructions directly from Rupa Goswami. In our current situations, we do not get direct instructions from the Guru. Sometimes there are devotees who are very sincere and at this time may not even have a spiritual master. Can you enlighten us as to what should be their approach and how they can, who they should serve and what instructions they should follow? Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, thank you so much for the question. Srila Prabhupada used to say, when a soul is very sincere in progressing spiritually and sincerely looking for a guru, Krishna will send the guru. He will make the arrangement for the guru to, come to that devotee. In the meantime, one should associate with advanced devotees, especially Srila Prabhupada's disciples. We are fortunate we have a few of Srila Prabhupada's disciples in Atlanta. So we must take the opportunity to associate with them, serve them, hear from them, take their guidance. So this is how we can advance spiritually. And like Prabhupada would say that if someone wants a dhongi guru, a fake guru, Krishna will provide that. But if a sincere soul wants a guru in strict disciplic succession, Krishna will make the arrangement. So all they have to do in the meantime is to associate with advanced devotees and learn from them, and more importantly, to serve them. That will please Krishna, and that is how that devotee can receive the mercy. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you for the wonderful question, Prabhu, and for the wonderful answer, Mataji. We still have a few more hands raised, Mataji. Are you able to take some more questions?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So we have Flavia Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
So
Gita.
Mataji, if you're ready.
Hare Krishna, Gita Mataji. Thank you so much for this wonderful session. Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. And please accept my humble obeisances. I just want to tell you thank you, because this was very clear. And every time I listen to you speak different platforms, it's so soothing and comforting, because it's like you are speaking, with the knowledge of Krishna and the compassion and the love of Radharani. And it really warms my heart. I can't speak for anyone else. I just know I feel very comfortable. I normally am shy to ask questions, but I feel very comfortable to ask you questions. So my question is, because I know you spoke of the 11th offense of being inattentive while chanting, and it seems that it doesn't matter what I do, and it makes me feel like, you know, I'm lacking in love or something, in devotion, but my mind races. I have a very busy house, and I've had a lot of obstacles come my way. And being new in Krishna consciousness, even waking at 5 o'clock in the morning to do japa, I fight with having, oh, I need to do this. Oh, remember to do this. So I try making a list at night so that I can not have the chatter in my brain. It's like I've heard of a Prabhuji saying monkey brain. So if you have some suggestion on maybe something else I can do, because I just stop and I start again to do my rounds, but I just want to be more focused, and so that I can feel like I'm more attached, because having the separation with the COVID situation has taken a toll, because I'm, you know, like 45 minutes from the temple, and I don't live by any devotees that I know of. So it's very difficult at times.
Yes, we are in the same boat. Most of us are in the same boat. It is a struggle to control the mind while chanting. But what I had heard is that before we go to bed every night, we should try and read Krishna book and pray to the Lord to help us to wake up early the next morning. It's very difficult. It is like waking in the morning is like, you know, pulling us out of the bed, you know, with a lot of power. You know, someone has to literally, it's like the soul being removed from the body. It's so hard to wake up in the morning. But when we pray to the Lord to help us, He definitely helps. Now, there are certain tips we can follow, but we need to do it gradually, because all our minds, they chatter all day, you know, all our minds chatter even while chanting, but we have to keep trying and keep trying. Practice makes one perfect. So if you are unable to wake up at 5 in the morning, try 5:30 in the morning. You know, give the mind slow doses. If all of a sudden I wake up at 4 in the morning tomorrow, and then, you know, I do my japa and I do this, and then next day the mind will not allow that, because just like mind is like a child, we need to train them and discipline them gradually. It's not instant. So if 5 is difficult, wake up at 5:30, and before doing anything else, you know, before the mind starts getting occupied with different things, then we need to start chanting. And when we start chanting, Prabhupada says it's important to hear what we are chanting. First of all, it has to be very clear. It should not be Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Krishna Krishna Ram Ram. Then when we chant like that, then at the time of death, Mr. Kish and Mr. Nam are going to come to take us, right? Because we are doing Hare Kish, Kish, Nam, 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 Nam. So we are calling Mr. Kish and Mr. Nam. But no, have to be very clear. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Even in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna said mind is difficult to control, what did Krishna say? Bring it back. So whenever we see our mind starts chattering while chanting, we need to again try and focus on hearing what we are chanting. And that way, the mind will get disciplined. The mind will get trained that no matter how much I'm chattering, she's not listening to me at all, right? It's like kind of ignoring the mind. What happens when the child is not disciplined and is creating a havoc and, you know, throwing tantrums and all that? Just ignore. And then the child will say, oh, I'm not getting any attention. What's the point of me, you know, throwing a tantrum? It's not working at all. So we just need to, it is important to do it gradually, right? Just like those who are alcoholics, you know, they cannot just immediately stop drinking. Gradually reduce. Even, you know, just like maybe then drink just once a day, and then maybe once in 3 days, and then once in a week, and then once in a month, and gradually get rid of that habit. So here, prayers are very powerful, very, very powerful. And I know some devotees who, over the phone conference, they chant together. That also helps. So when we are, and of course with COVID-19, we all have been kind of, you can say, handicapped, no association. But that made us realize association is so important. We are missing it. I keep asking whenever I go to the temple for darshan, when is it going to open for Sunday feast? When is it that we all can come together and meet each other and associate with each other? But in the meantime, we have to make best use of a bad bargain that we have right now, but just continue chanting. What is the result of chanting? More chanting. This is what Srila Prabhupada said. Chanting will lead us to more chanting. So don't be disheartened if you can associate with devotees over the phone, on Zoom calls, like today we are all associating with each other. We can do that. But try and hear what you're chanting, and that is how the mind will be subdued. Constant practice and detachment.
Thank you so much, Mataji. I really appreciate it. I have no problem waking in the morning. I don't need an alarm clock at all. I wake up automatically. I automatically just like, boom, no matter if I go to sleep at 1 o'clock, Krishna wakes me up between 4:50 and 5:15 every day. But I still have the chatter. So I will take your suggestion and chant more slowly, more distinctly, making sure I articulate the words. And so I'm going to let you know how that works. And maybe if I even can chant loudly, that's better. I have a tendency to chant quietly.
Yes, you have to hear what you're chanting. That is the way to control the mind, Then the mind's voice will be subdued because the chanting is so loud that you won't be able to hear the mind then. So chanting loudly is important to hear.
Yes, Mataji. Haribol, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for that wonderful explanation, and thank you, Flavia Mataji, for the wonderful question. We have another question, Mataji. Kartik Kripa Prabhu has his hand raised. So, Kartik Kripa Prabhu, if you're ready, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much for your wonderful class. As always, it's such a pleasure to hear you so expertly explain everything on any topic that we ask you to speak on. So we're extremely grateful for every program you agreed to speak on, and we look forward to hearing from you more. Mataji, I just had this one question. So you mentioned about the service attitude of Srila Jiva Goswami, how even regardless of his position, he would render the service so expertly. In our services, sometimes we may be given a small service, or we may be given a lot of service to render. And sometimes, due to many different circumstances and different effects, we might lose that energy or that drive to render these services. And sometimes also, in difficult situations, the effects of Maya affect our minds to the point where we want to give up the services in the middle of it as well. So how would you suggest that, twofold answer I would ask is that how would we maintain that drive, and how would we encourage ourselves and others to gain that drive to want to serve in any way possible?
Yeah, it's a very important question, and a very, you would say, most devotees would have this question in their mind. Srila Prabhupada used to say that if we are not enthusiastic in our service, then we should pretend to be enthusiastic. And then enthusiasm will come. So, and enthusiasm comes like, supposing I'm feeling, today I don't feel like doing the service, it is too much, I'm hurting and this and that, so many excuses. But if we associate with enthusiastic devotees, so say supposing I'm given the service in the temple to wash the dishes, the Lord has finished, having his meals, and it's time to wash his dishes, but I don't feel like, but then if there is a devotee next to me who is so enthusiastically cleaning those dishes, that enthusiasm rubs off on us. Oh yes, let me also start, cleaning the dishes, the all the utensils that need to be cleaned, and that is service. So association plays a very important part, very important part. Srila Prabhupada would always talk about association. Why did he build the temple, so many temples? Why did he show us deity worship? Why did he give us so many different kinds of services to engage us? Even though we may not feel bright enough or energetic to do that, we should do that anyway, because when we and praying to the Lord, prayers are very, very powerful. The potency in the prayer is unimaginable. And Krishna, he can hear all the prayers, even though we may not verbally say it, even if it is in my heart, like before starting the class, I always pray to the Lord. I pray to the Guru Parampara, please help me so that I am able to speak properly, so that, because it is very important that so many of these devotees, they have come to hear about Srila Jiva Goswami. They have spent so much of their valuable time, right? Valuable time. So we must use it properly. And when we do our service, that is also for the pleasure of the Lord. So if enthusiasm is not there, we must pretend to be enthusiastic and still do the service. If for health reasons it is a little difficult to do that service, then we have to talk to the management and see if we can get some other service. But the main idea is service can help us to get closer to God. And I'll give you my personal example. This was probably in 1997. My husband and I, we were in Atlanta for many years, and then we went back to Mumbai, Juhu temple, to live in the temple and do service. Of course, lived in different ashrams, brahmachari ashram, ladies ashram. But the point was, our spiritual master wanted to train us to live in the temple full time and manage a department in the temple and also preach at the same time. Now we all know Jew temple, there are hundreds and thousands of people who come for darshan, and it is a very good opportunity to preach, right? So it so happened I was also the secretary for my spiritual master, so I would take the dictation, etc. But one day I was really sick, and he had before few weeks ago, he had given us the seva, the service of standing at the entrance of the Juhu temple, and as people are coming for darshan, talk to them, preach to them, engage them, in some conversation, so that they get interested in, buying books, Srila Prabhupada's books, coming to programs, etc. But I was very sick physically. My body had given up. I don't remember what it was, but I could not even stand. It was so painful for me to even stand. So I was thinking, now, how will I follow my guru's instructions and stand there for a couple of hours to preach to these people? So I went up to him in his room and I said, my sincere apologies, but I am unable to, stand and preach. He came like this and he said, Gita, I'm trying to send you back to Godhead, which means no excuses. No excuses at all. The mind, yes, if I cannot stand, there's always a chair to sit down, right? You sit down on a chair and you can still preach. So the idea is that the spiritual master or the advanced devotees, excuse me, they are helping us, guiding us on the right path to help us focus. I'm sorry for such a long answer, but the point is that we need to associate with enthusiastic devotees so that we also get enthusiastic about doing service. Okay?
Thank you so much, Mataji. And what a wonderful pastime with your guru, and such an inspirational one as well. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, thank you, Mataji, for sharing that wonderful lila. It was very, very sweet. Such a beautiful pastime with His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj. So thank you for sharing that, and such a wonderful answer to the question as well. Mataji, we just have two more questions. So next we have a Grace Pakalata. Mataji, if you're ready, you can go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Ah.
Dandavat Pranam. I love this class about Jiva Goswami, and I love all the pastimes of all the Goswamis, and I love the Goswamis pastimes so much. And especially Jiva Goswami's pastimes are very amazing for me, and especially by a devotee who is speaking the pastimes of Goswamis is very helpful to me to go back to Krishna. So I have a question that after, if I'm done with my chanting on my rounds every day in the morning, so do I still chant extra rounds, or do I read Srila Prabhupada's books or Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita?
Very good question. First of all, you're a source of inspiration for all of us at such a young age, you know. I wish we had started so young, but better late than never. So you're a source of inspiration for us. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your parents bringing you and Krishna into Krishna consciousness. That's wonderful. Yes, it's important to chant when you finish your rounds. Then it's important to read also, because they both go hand in hand. When we chant and when we read, then we progress spiritually. So reading is also important. And then after you finish reading, if you have time, you can chant more. Chanting actually should be done 24 hours, but you know, we live in a material world where it is not practical. So we finish chanting our assigned rounds and then read also. Okay.
And I also have another question, that how can we serve devotees, because it's the COVID right now?
Yes, that's true. With COVID, it is difficult. But even associating with devotees over the phone or on Zoom, you know, that is also, that association is also like a service, right? Sometimes we do get an opportunity to do some physical service even in COVID-19 times, but most of the times it is difficult, but we can still try. But main thing is to associate, right? And you can serve your family, because your family are devotees also, right? Your mom, your dad, your brother, they're all devotees. So in COVID-19 times, serve them, right? And then once you
Yeah.
have the opportunity to meet, then you can serve the other devotees also.
Yes. Thank you for both the answers.
Welcome.
And thank you for the class also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, beta.
Thank you so much, Karima. Thank you, Mataji, for very wonderfully answering that question. Again, we have one last question. Victoria Mataji is there. Victoria, if you're ready, you may go ahead and answer the question.
Haribol, Victoria.
Hare Krishna, Gita, Mataji. I don't know where to start, but I'll try to make this concise. I started inquiring on the purpose of existence when I was very young, probably when I was in a Bible study class and I was 6 years old, and they didn't want to answer my question. And so fast forward to right now, I've asked so many questions in my lifetime. I was a philosophy student in college, political science, but philosophy was the love of my life. And then luckily, a monk at the University of Houston handed me a Gita, and he gave me Prashadam. And I think this is the biggest blessing of my entire life. So since 2008, I've been on the path, but my mind has sometimes taken me off the path, and I would go back on, and my own faulty logic would take me away, and then I'd go back on, or I would try to rationalize in some way, and then I go back on the path. But I want to stay on the path, and I feel so grateful, because I feel like this is what I wanted my whole life, to just find God. And I really don't want anything to do with the material world. Is that okay? Like, I don't want to get married. I don't want children. I just want to serve Krishna. Can I be a monk?
Oh, yes, your life has been an inspiration for me too. I remember you were speaking in one of those Zoom classes of Balabhadra Prabhu. I remember that you had that wonderful exchange with him when he was speaking. So, to answer to your question, it would be important to get some guidance instead of the mind making the decision for ourselves, right? So, excuse me, try and get some guidance. Just like in every sphere of life, we need a teacher, whether we go to school, the college, we need a teacher to learn some musical instruments, karate, swimming, anything we take, we need a teacher, you know, and a certified teacher. So similarly, to answer your question, you will need some guidance from really advanced devotees. And actually, it's good.
I'm under the guidance, I'm sorry, I'm under the guidance of my guru, Shyam Prabhuji.
Who?
And I just want to know, Shyam, Guru Shyam.
Oh, Shyam. Okay.
Shyam, I'm not pronouncing it right.
Okay.
But my question was, my question is just like, do I absolutely have to get married? Do I absolutely have to have children and fulfill what would one call a gender role in Krishna consciousness? I'm here. I know that I don't want to be on this airplane. I just want to go back to God. I'm not trying to sound like a complainer, but I took the wrong exit, I think. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
You can always take a U-turn, you know.
Yes.
Take a turn and come back on the right highway, you know. So
yes, I want to.
Yes, you definitely, we all definitely need guidance from a bona fide spiritual master. And, you know, when the bona fide spiritual master is not around, we can take guidance from advanced devotees, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, you know, because each devotee is different, each family situation is different, each circumstance is different. So they put everything together and then they give the guidance. So unfortunately, I won't be able to guide you on this. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. And maybe I need to just be patient and not try to predict my life like that. I think that I overthink, and I think that I need to just follow the prescribed instructions of opening those books and diving in and chanting. And like you said earlier, it really is not hard. It's not difficult. I just make it difficult with my own mind.
Srila Prabhupada said his own words. He said, this process is simple for simple people, complicated for complicated people, you know. It is very simple process, very simple. But we still need guidance. We definitely need guidance. We should not allow our mind to make those decisions because these are really big decisions.
I understand. Thank you. Thank you, Gita, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. It was such a wonderful turn at the talk that it took, and I was just thinking while you were speaking, we should definitely arrange for you to speak on a Vaishnavi platform as well, and especially to new devotees who are aspiring to learn Krishna consciousness, because really very inspiring in that way. Mataji, before we conclude, I just wanted to touch a little bit on something from my side. You were saying, you know, obviously the relationship of Srila Jiva Goswami and Lord Nityananda. And it was Lord Nityananda who revealed to Srila Jiva Goswami that there would be a temple. It was a prediction of the. Can touch on that a little bit? Do you recall that, Mataji?
My memory is very poor, so I don't remember that.
No.
No.
Okay, no worries. But it was Srila Jiva Goswami who.
Someone else remembers,
Yes.
But
No,
I
it's okay. No worries,
remember
Mataji. But it was Lord Nityananda who took Srila Jiva Goswami under his shelter.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Yes.
That is what Chaitanya
Yes. I
Mahaprabhu
do believe there was a past.
Remember, he told him
Yes.
that I am handing you over to Lord Nityananda. You are under his care now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Mataji. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. It was really, really, truly very amazing. And we always are very fortunate to hear from you. And we are very grateful to have your association. And we look forward to continuing to have your association in the future. So thank you so much for everything. And yes, we will now move on to the next part of the program. Please take care, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Naveen, I think you're on mute.
Yes, sorry, dear devotees, sorry about that. We'll just go through announcements before we conclude the program. So I'll just bring up the announcements. So yes, coming up next week will be the third part of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. It will be covering Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and our speaker for that day will be His Grace Sachipran Gaura Haridas. The date will be on the 14th of July, and it will be the regular time, 7 p.m. So we would like to encourage everyone to please join us for our third part in this wonderful series. And yeah, coming up on Sunday, on a virtual Sunday program, we have the glories of Ratha Yatra with a very special speaker, His Grace Madhavananda Prabhu. That will be on the 11th of July at 8 a.m. So please be aware that there is a time change. It will be a morning class, an early class. So you can please make note of that and make arrangement to hear that class as well. Yeah. And also our festivals, we have on July 9th, Sri Gadadhar Pandit Disappearance Day, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Disappearance Day. On July 11th, we have Ratha Yatra, and on July 20th, we have Sanya Ekadasi. July 23rd, we have Srila Sanatan Goswami Disappearance. In August, we have Srila Balaram Jayanti. 22nd of August, 30th of August is Janmashtami. 31st of August, Srila Prabhupada's Appearance Day, and 13th September, Radha Astami. So we have some wonderful festivals coming up, and we just like the devotees to please prepare for observing these wonderful festivals. We will keep you updated with regards to all the festivals that are happening, and the streams and the in-person programs and all the activities that will be happening for those festivals. So please stay tuned to our social media. You can check us out on Linktree. All our communication is posted via Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. And if you missed any of the classes, or if you'd like to share any of the classes, please check out our YouTube page. All our classes are recorded on ISKCON Atlanta YouTube. So yes, please feel free to check us out on any of the social media platforms. Also, we would like to send some prayers out today for some special devotees who are still facing some health elements. His Holiness Chaitanya Maharaj, Her Grace Govardhan Leela Mataji, the doctors fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, and we would also like to send prayers to those who we have not mentioned. So we will just chant Hare Krishna 3 times in a prayerful mood, and we'd like to encourage devotees to please join us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama
Rama.
Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you so much, dear devotees, for joining us today and for giving us your association and for supporting this platform and this forum. We look forward to seeing you all virtually and in person again. I know one thing Gita Mataji mentioned during her class. She was saying that whenever she goes to the temple, she's inquiring about when the in-person Sunday programs will be happening again. So yes, Mataji, we are planning bringing back Sunday feast soon. We are doing it gradually. We do have a Sunday evening kirtan that is happening now from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. every Sunday. So we would encourage the devotees to please join us for that. And with that program, we will gradually bring back the Sunday program very soon, by the mercy of all the devotees as well, and the mercy of all of our deities. So thank you, dear devotees, for being with us and joining us today. And we will now conclude the program. Thank you, everyone. Please be safe. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.